Okay, everybody, calm down. It's not the end of the world. Shit. In case you weren't quite paying attention, we're in the middle of something called a pandemic, which is a short word for mass creepy-crawly stay-at-home disease. Over the past few weeks, we've been through the 7 stages of indoor grief. Buy all the toilet rolls. Maintain you are always a runner.
I just felt like running.
Buy all the pasta. Steal someone's dog so you have an excuse to go out. Bake, bake, bake. Buy all the toilet rolls. Clean, clean, clean. In all seriousness though, it is really scary how quickly this global crisis has escalated. Every single death as a result of this virus is a tragedy, and almost everyone is doing their bit to minimise the effects through self-isolation, and the UK government has had a lot of flack for their response to the crisis. But I'm here to tell you there are a multitude of reasons why you should not politicise this crisis. Number 1. Politicians are not accountable for their actions. Everyone thinks the politicians are there to represent us, and if they promise something, they should be held accountable if it's not delivered. But actually, this is not the case. They are in fact protected by something called a bullshit shield, whereby they can make any claim and simply get away with it if it doesn't materialise. Testing? Sure, we'll do that. Ventilators? Sure, we'll get you some. Proper protective gear for frontline staff? Of course we will. Number 2. Healthcare is not a right. Everyone is up in arms about the NHS being understaffed and underfunded. But you're forgetting that healthcare is not actually a right. Oh no! A more efficient system exists in the United States of America, whereby if you don't have medical insurance, you die. Like the 17-year-old boy exhibiting symptoms of coronavirus who was turned down urgent care at the doors of a hospital because he didn't have insurance.
In the good old days, you were poor, you got ill, and you died.
It's a much simpler system for sure. Number 3. There are good immigrants and bad immigrants. Secretary of State Priti Patel labelled immigrant workers last year as low-skilled and said it would become more difficult for immigrants to move to the UK to work and live after Brexit. However, visas are now being extended for low-skilled immigrant workers to remain in the UK to fight the virus and give much-needed support to the population. These 2 instances are completely unrelated. One is the bad kind of immigrants, and one is the good kind of immigrants. And although those 2 may often be the same person, they are actually different, but the same. Number 4. Bailing out billionaires should be our priority. Since the lockdown, all non-essential work has been stopped. This has led to pretty much the entire population asking where they're going to get the money each month for toilet rolls and pasta. But the priority should not be for the everyday working person. It should be for those poor, impoverished billionaires. The likes of Richard Branson and Philip Green need our urgent taxpayer monies so they can continue to pay absolutely no tax on NHS deals. I dread to think how many islands they're going to have to sell just to make ends meet. Number 5. It's proven that the science for politicians is different to everybody else. Science is not infallible. We know this because it's been proven by science that the self-isolation period for politicians is actually different to everybody else. Whereas most people require a minimum of 14 days, politicians actually require only 7 max. This is because for the first 7 days of gestation, the virus is trying to latch on to your soul, on which it remains clamped for 7 days more before falling off.
Yes, science!
And since politicians have no soul, the virus simply gives up, slinks off, and does the crossword. Number 6. Spam affects all of us. Apparently the UK not participating in an EU scheme to secure much needed ventilators was due simply to the email not getting delivered, because Gove was using Hotmail and not Gmail. I said Gove was using Hotmail and not Gmail. There it is. Number 7. I need to ventilate. Everybody keeps banging on about ventilators. I mean, what are they actually good for? Besides, you know, keeping people breathing when they can't do it themselves. Apparently on 20th of March, the government placed an order for 30,000 ventilators from British company G-Tech, then cancelled the order 6 days later. We've all done it! Ordered 30,000 vibrators from Amazon and then sent them back. I mean vibrators, ventilators, that's the one. Number 8, you should be grateful. Including Jeremy Corbyn, who relinquished his role as Labour leader this week. He needs to stop being such a sore loser and be grateful. After years of being absolutely hounded by the Tories and the mainstream media in turn, and dragged over the coals in the last election due to his unachievable socialist manifesto, the Tories have just had to use a lot of his policies, including renationalisation, kindly cancelling the £13 billion debt of the NHS, and housing the homeless in hotels. And yet all we hear from the left is how they were right all along. Just be grateful. You see, politicising the crisis is not the answer. That's because there is absolutely no link between the people you vote to represent you and the way that they treat you in times of desperate need. No link between 10 long years of Tory austerity, underfunding and under-resourcing the emergency services, closing A&E departments up and down the country, and NHS workers now being forced to work in unsafe, uncontrolled conditions. No link at all! So do us all a favour. Don't make this political. The best thing you can do? Clap. Clap to your heart's content. Just clap away. Keep on clapping. Take one hand, and then take the other, and sort of mash them together in a sort of vigorous horizontal motion, because that is far more effective than actually questioning why we got into this in the first place and how we could change it for the better in years to come. No questioning, just clap. And if you don't know how to clap, maybe check out the last time the Tories had something to clap about.
The ayes to the right, 309. The noes to the left, 323.
That was when they won the vote in Parliament to deny emergency services workers a pay rise. The same emergency services workers they are now furiously clapping for to save our sick population. So go on, shut your mouth and give us a clap.